growing up in with two really strong different cultures that are drastically different, like polar opposites, there's a lot of things that you really, come up with and you really see the differences in, and you really question, like, oh wow, these two cultures handle things very differently. Today I really want to talk about me growing up with these two different cultures. I'm half Asian, half Western, and yeah, let's dig into it. Some of the differences that I've seen. First off, confrontation. How they deal with, complications that happen, and, how they really tackle the situation. So let's say we're in a family. In the family, we have like a disagreement. And what I've seen with on my mother's side, who's Asian, and her family members, if they fight, have an argument, they don't speak to each other. Literally, they it becomes so awkward because if one person comes into the room, it's dead silence, and it's so awkward for people that are not involved, right? So I felt that many times because whenever my mother would have a fight with one of her sisters, brother, whatever, definitely dead silence. Now on the Western side, it's also really awkward. Okay, keep in mind these two situations are my personal family, right? I'm not saying everyone's family is the same, okay? But what I've experienced, awkwardness, both cultures. I literally can't escape being awkward. So from the Western side, it's completely different, okay? Let's say they have a huge argument. I'm talking, imagine someone storming out, closing the door really hard. You'd think that person wouldn't want to talk to you for how many hours or whatever, or the next day, right? But it's not the same. So let's say a person storms out, and then they might come back in an hour or whatever, and they talk to the person like nothing happened. That's what I've experienced, and I'm always like, what? Really? Always like super confused, like, didn't they just have a fight? Weren't they really mad? I heard someone storm out and close the door really hard or something like that. Yeah. So it's really, really different because in my Asian side, they just I don't want to say like you're dead to me or anything like that, but they literally do not speak to each other at all, and they're just, how in some relationships, like if the guy did something wrong and the woman doesn't really tell them what they did, and they're quiet, and the guy like completely quiet, and the guy asks like, they do something wrong, and they're like, nothing, and they're quiet again, quiet. It's a similar feeling to that if you've ever experienced that. But yeah, it's very similar to that, and it's very, very, very awkward, right? And in my family, at least, the awkwardness doesn't just stay with my mother and her siblings, but it comes down to the other people in the room, such as myself. And on my father's side, I also feel it's very awkward and strange. None of these, I would say, are healthy, in my opinion, at least. All right. So yeah, and my father does it to me as well. So for example, he asked me to get something at the department store. And actually, this actually happened when I was young. I remember it till this day. So he asked me to get something from the department store that was quite important, all right? And I'm at the department store enjoying my time, not even thinking about what he asked me to get. And at the moment I reach home, I realize, oh shit, I forgot to get him what he asked. And you know what? At that time, I was so young, I wasn't even thinking about going back to the department store. I was like, all right, I messed up, whatever. Just act like, act like nothing happened and see if he forgot about it, hoping that he would forget that he even wanted this thing, right? However, he didn't, because it was very important, and it wasn't just for him, it was for the family. We kind of needed that product that he needed, right? So he was really mad, and he just said, all right, I'll just run to the department store and get it myself, which he did. He ran to the department store and got it himself. But let's say it took him 30 minutes. It's not too far from the house, right? Once he got back, he came up to my room and I was like, oh shit, he's gonna scold me again. I have to listen to this all over again. No, he came up with a bag of like Thai sausages, so it's like Asian sausages. Here, I'll post a photo of how they look like. And he's like, you want some? You want some of these Thai sausages? It's like, they're really delicious, right? If you ever come to Thailand, try it out. Not extremely healthy, but it's a good snack once in a while. So I grabbed a bite and I actually had it. But yeah, I was always confused about like how the situation escalated and then it changed so suddenly to the point that I myself didn't even have a chance to adapt or change or get used to the situation yet. So yeah, it's really interesting how, different mindsets. And yeah, other than all the different culture, things that you're not really used to. For example, the Western side can't really handle that much spice, and I adapt this side from my Asian side. So I really like to eat spicy. So when I go there and they ask me, "Is this spicy?" and I say no, it's not spicy. Oh, I can't taste shit. It's so bland. And they're eating it and they're like, "You said it's not spicy," and I'm like, "But it's not." I'm like, okay, yeah, it's just a bit spicy. Sorry, yeah. So there's a lot of things in the culture that I grew up with that's quite different, in both sides. Both are unique in their own ways and interesting in their own ways. However, the first one that I mentioned, I consider it unhealthy in both cultures that I've grown up with in my own family. And I wouldn't address a situation like that. I would address sitting down, talking about it, getting it solved, and then going back to normal, not acting like nothing happened, all right? Or like you're dead to me, silence until someone speaks and they lose. No, right? So that's definitely something that I think that I've grown up with, and not necessarily correct or anything like that, but yeah. So I just wanted to share that for the starters. I'll definitely make some more videos about other things that are different from the two cultures that I grew up with, because I find it very unique, very different. And when you're in the middle of two different cultures, right, it doesn't have to be mixed children or anything like that, but when you're living in a different country and maybe you've adapted to that country, your parents didn't adapt because they didn't grow up there, and you're kind of in the middle of those two cultures, sometimes you feel a bit lost, like which one's right, which one should I lean to, and stuff like that. But yeah, that's definitely a different change, and it's very interesting to see. Alright, I hope you liked this video. Catch you in the next one. Bye!